most of the other arts they're bringing into play are hitting and striking arts, which are wonderful martial arts. They just don't translate that well to a grappling scenario. I mean, football is grappling. I mean, just about anything you see, even a tackle, if you guys have done wrestling, a tackle's a takedown. It's grappling. So my art is a grappling art. It's based on what do you do unarmed against multiple attackers with edged weapons. And what you can't do against one of those attackers is just beat him by strength, because he's got a guy behind you who cut you in two. So how do you control, what you have to do is control the man as quickly as possible. You have to deflect his forces away from your body and somehow manipulate him to go where he thinks he wants to go, and then you take him to where you want to go. This will be what we call in the Bay Area an experiential workshop. So you guys will be out there, and you're not going to be taking much notes, because I'm actually have you hands-on stuff unless you're uncomfortable. When I do break into groups, I'm going to ask that you go very slowly, that you're very caring of the people you train with, because they're going to be doing it to you. All right? And also, and let them know if you've got shoulder problems. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Just watch and observe, okay? Most of you, and probably all of you, know more about football, X's and O's, than I do. My sport of choice was tennis, so my mother didn't let me play football. So that shows you where I'm coming from. So I overcompensated by getting into hardcore martial arts. So if I could again borrow you, just to give you some typical things. I haven't paid you yet, have I? Okay. What we're going to do here is I'm going to just have him push me over. So push me over, please. Pretty simple. You can see that's not a very good base. One leg against the guy as much. In fact, go ahead, line your feet up so you can give me maximum push, one foot in front of the other. Okay, now push, please. Now, I am no better base, but what I do have better is that his forces that were going into my body, go ahead, are now deflecting away. Nice force shield around me. So instead of, if it was a knife, I don't want to take a knife into my body. I don't care how tough I am. I lose. I want to deflect it away from me, okay? So that's the kind of stuff that we do in my art, and that's how I've taken that stuff. Actually, my teacher is a samurai, and so that's why I've taken it into it. And what I will teach you today, and this is the best thing for you guys to go home with, will be principles. I'll show you a couple techniques, but what I really have to offer you are principles. If I could borrow you again. I'll switch to the other guys, but I like big guys because it looks a little more convincing. Okay, just normal stance. Okay, principle number one, triangulation. Okay, these are, by the way, principles are physics and neurology and biomechanics, and those things work every time. I pick something up, drop a pencil, I know it's going to hit the ground. Why? Gravity. It's always there. That's the kind of stuff we're working with. Okay, so in any stance of any human being, the strongest line will always be the line between the heels. Okay? For me to get this man to go off balance, you guys know what a plumb line is. A plumb line's a weighted string. So imagine a plumb line hanging down his center line here, okay? For me to get him to actually fall, I have to push hard enough so that plumb line falls outside his base, his right leg. If I don't push far enough, he comes back to center, okay? So when you see Reggie White come in and do his rip move, his hump move, he's taking the man and moving him across typically his strong line. At 90 degrees, okay, is the weak line. The weak line requires very little effort. He goes back easier to that way than he does forward, because he's got these things called feet that stop it, but it still works just as well along the weak line forward. Okay, now you take the tibia. This is all biomechanics again. You take the length of the tibia, you go out to the middle of that strong line, you put the length of the tibia in front of him, that becomes the forward triangulation point. To the rear, that's the rear triangulation point. Now, everything we're going to do today is going to be to the forward triangulation point. But watch what happens. If I take the end of the humerus bone, another principle that you guys should know is controlling the humerus bone. That's this bone right here, okay? We control that. And I'll show you why in just a few minutes here. So we take the elbow and or the sternum out to the forward triangulation. The man has to step forward. Everybody has to step forward. So, since I told you it was going to be an experiential group session, go ahead, drop your stuff, put it down, take your elbows, comfortable stance. I don't care what your stance is. Take your elbow out and put it in front of your navel. That'll be your midline of your body. Now take that elbow and start moving it away from your body out in front. And whenever you feel like you have to take a step, that's when your elbow has now gone across that forward triangulation. This is very important if I want to freeze the guy's feet. We're talking pass rush, right? So in pass rush, what do you see guys happen all the time? If I'm here, puts his hand, the other hand's on my ass, and if I'm an end and the quarterback's over there, he rides me upfield. Okay? Why? Because a good O-lineman or even a bad O-lineman, if he's got his feet, he can take you upfield, particularly if you've got a lot of momentum in that direction. All he's doing is taking your momentum and pushing you in the same direction. So what could I do then? I could freeze his feet. And look what he had to do. Once his elbow came to his forward triangulation, he had to step forward. He had to step downfield. And I'm going upfield. And it's an easy jaunt for me to get to the quarterback from there. The techniques that we're going to focus on today, or this session, will be ones that you guys are already familiar with. Swim move, rip move, pump move. Maybe a couple others. I'll see how you get those. Okay? First off, I don't do anything. I never do a chop, dip and rip. I don't do any of that stuff. My problem with that, and I realize it's different from what a lot of you guys already teach out there, is that it attacks the meat of the man. If I hit him here, club move, okay? What am I doing? I'm hitting him. Sorry about this beating here. I'll let you get back at me. I'm hitting him across his strong line. I'm not saying it can't be done, particularly if I've juked him a bit. I've got him leaning, he's leaning that way. Yeah, if I hit him hard enough, he will go that way. But that's a lot of work. It's much simpler to go grab both hands. It's much simpler for me to take him and move him right around me. Now, if you guys listened to Don Johnson last night, I think it was the guy from UCLA, he talked about the push-pull and how important it was to get the guy's hips to turn. I buy that one completely. The difference between him and me would be this. I think there's easier levers to turn the hips. And those levers are these things right here, the humerus bone. Okay, so we're going to get touchy-feely now. I'd like you to divide into groups of two. Okay? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to, the first move we're going to do is the swim move. I want you to be very relaxed. I want you to just take the guy's elbow and find his forward triangulation. And he's almost there. You see where his weight is? His weight's now on the balls of his feet. It's going to be difficult for him to move up. But I know it's absolutely at his forward triangulation at that moment. And I want you guys just to feel that. The person that's having it done to you, please don't fight them. Right now, just be really relaxed. This is just touchy-feely kind of stuff. And I want you to get what it feels like and do both sides, right and left arm, say 5 reps apiece. Don't be shy. Come on, grab somebody, please. Okay, work into it. What am I doing? I'm going to do it to you. Catch it. Okay. I just got to go around and see if you can fit, dude. Just kind of be parallel. Just kind of like here. So once I get there, guys, keep doing it. I want to see now. Take me out that way. Okay. It's all right. gentlemen, please. A good question, and it's a twofold question, okay? His question was, why are we doing it here versus doing it here? Couldn't we do it here? Now, first of all, he's right. You could do it here. It does still, in fact, work, okay? The problem was, particularly in pass rush, and what we're going to try to do is to give the offensive person as few of possibilities for counter, is that as you're in the process of doing it, they do that and hit you again. And if you control here, you don't. The guy can still pull your elbow back. He can still do that. Whereas I have control of his humerus bone. Pull back, pull back. Cannot do it. Simple biomechanics. It can be done at the wrist, but basic is going to be done at the elbow. Okay? Answer your question? Feel free to ask me questions because this is brand new. Now what I'd like you to do is find a different partner and try it again. You'll notice it's different with different heights, different arm lengths. And one final thing, as you take it into the forward triangulation, see if you can exert a little pressure down. Okay, go ahead, please.
If I'm here, I do that. See, this came forward the wrist. Do that. So first come down with some fast. Oh yeah, yeah, right. Then it's this. Yeah, that's what it is right there. Yeah. Not pull hard. Right. Right. This guy's got to be quick enough. Right. Because when he came up the shoulder and that.
No, bring that up again because I want to discuss it with you, please. I was taught how to All right.
Put that on your list.
Okay, guys, come back, please.
Be 150 on this stuff.
All right. Another good question. You know, what happens if the guy switches his feet? The answer, he got it right, but I'll tell you right now, it's that it does, the forward triangulation, in fact, does change. If my forward triangulation is right here, then by moving my feet back, does it change? Absolutely it does. But it's that clear line between the heels and then 90 degrees. Okay? That's always where they're weak. I don't care how big you are, how tough you are, I don't care how big your body is, how you've developed it, this will always be weak. What I also want to mention, I can borrow you again please, is that we're not really after his arm. I'm really after his center of gravity. That's what I want. If I got his center, I beat him. Every time. Every time, not every other time. If I control his center of gravity, I beat him. My teacher can come up to me and just touch me and he'll drop me because all he does is he pushes my center of gravity right back there. There's no support and I fall down. It's not painful, it's just embarrassing. Okay? So, how do we apply this stuff to the swim move? Okay. Now, I typically don't like the way swim moves are taught because I find that when it's up like this, he's too wide open, okay? The higher you bring your arm, it becomes easier for him to see. It's right in his visual field. It takes longer to apply. In my version, the arm never comes higher than his arm. Just slightly over high. All I need to do is clear his arm. I could even start here and come up here to clear it, okay? All I want to do is get this angle, right there. From this angle, I go forward. Okay? This is big. This is another principle, back pressure. Back pressure is really, you guys have seen it before. When you see a lineman, you rip move me, upfield, doing that, that's back pressure. I'm pushing him from where he's already, in the direction his body is naturally moving, forward. What makes this stuff tricky is that we apply back pressure from the front. So just grab it. I'm applying back pressure from this angle, that angle, but I'm not behind him, I'm in front of him. Now, we're squared off, okay? If the question is in your mind, would this work better half a man or a quarter of a man? Absolutely. But it even works fully square, because what I'm doing is I'm engaging his bone structure and taking him to a place where there isn't support. There is no third leg, okay? It's like you knock out the leg of a third-legged chair, the chair will fall in that direction. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking him to that spot. Okay, there's many different varieties. I have about 31 pass rush techniques. This is a basic one. Another thing I'm doing, and this is going to be your next little test with one another, is this. This is the opposite of what everybody else teaches, right? I'm putting my hand on him, his hand on me. Why? Because, retract to hit me again. I'm sorry. See, you hit me, and then you retract. Okay, retract now, retract. You can't do it. So, one of the possible counters to this is the guy, before I hook, lock, lead him, before I actually lock him, he retracts his arm, reloads, however you guys like to refer to that, okay? By putting my hand on top of his hand. First of all, I've already created a scenario where his hand's down here, but I'm already taking away his first option of reloading, okay? So we do that. So that's the next thing we do, and this is very easy, guys. This is not, all I need to do is put the hand here. If you guys have ever, the feeling that the other person should feel, so I want you to ask him, after you've done it a few times, ask the guy to attempt to retract his arm. The feeling that the guy should have, you guys ever gone to a refrigerator, stand-up refrigerator, grab the refrigerator and had it stick on you, and then do this? Anybody ever had that happen? What you've done is you've contracted your muscles, but the thing hasn't moved, so something has to move. Me, the lighter thing, okay? It's all biomechanics and physics. So, I'm gonna ask him now to retract. Go ahead, hit me, retract, okay? Now, if he can't get his arm completely free, then I've done it correctly. Because in the process of him pulling back, that's when I would have attacked, okay? Different angle, please. That's all I'm going to do, is just put it there. And in terms of, you get confused as to which hand, if you're squared up to the man, his right hand is on your chest, your left hand is on top of his right hand. Similarly, the opposite, the other side, okay? So I'd like you to do 5 reps to either side, and then switch roles. And maybe maybe do 5 reps without asking the guy, and then maybe on the 6th and 7th rep, ask the guy to try to pull his arm back and see if you can get a nice connection. Okay, pair up, please. Not wrong.
That's all right.
We haven't gotten that far yet. No swim move yet, please. Just the first part.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on to it. Hold on to the hand. There you go.
What happened? Like you can just stand up.
That's where it'll go. There you go. Try not to do the technique yet. And I may even ask you to come up and demonstrate it correctly like that. There you go. Drop the shoulder.
I'll go like that.
Oh, yeah, too much work in.
We didn't have the camera. I'd say he's up right now.
Okay, you guys want to do the technique? I can tell. Can I borrow you, please? Your name? Yeah, I don't remember your name. Sorry. Jason. Okay. I know it's getting exciting. You guys want to do the technique now, huh? Well, we're almost there. Okay. A couple of quick comments, though. If I stiffen up, another principle I neglected to mention, and it's actually in some ways the most important, is relaxation. Let me ask you guys a question. What would you rather carry across the length of a football field? A 100-pound sack of ice, block of ice, or a 100-pound bag of water?
Water.
You'd rather carry the bag of water, huh?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to see you try it, okay? A block of ice is always going to be more, because it doesn't flow around you, okay? It's easier to pick up and engage where their center of gravity is and all that stuff. We want the person we're dealing with to feel like a block of ice. When he's rigid, that's how I deal with him. I stay loose. But when he puts his hand here, if I put my shoulder up, you see, right now, my center of gravity's up. You can just see that. He's taking advantage of me right away. Now try it. Different ballgame. I'm not going to stay like this, obviously, but my weight's dropped. Now, if I drop my weight on his arm, now try to push me, he can no longer do it. Okay? And that's one of the things we're going to do. So, as he hits me here, step. Let's just have an inside step, make it basic. You could still do it this way. You could also do it from your front. Let's kind of cheat to the beginning. Let's say you have half a man, okay? So the inside foot relative to him, if I'm on his right side, my right foot will be coming forward. My right arm will be going over his right arm, and I will be hooking him here. Now, I've already seen you guys, the ones that have done it, do two things that will never work if you try this, okay? Number one is to be too far away. I want proximity. I want to be right on him. I'm taking him to dinner later, okay? All right? You didn't know that, did you, Jason? Okay? So I want to be right there next to him. Again, from a martial arts perspective, I want to be close by so that he's the pin cushion. I'm away from it. It's also very valuable to do this if they've got another blocker right there. You can do, by the way, and we'll get to this, you can take the move inside and outside. Well, right now we're thinking of it as an outside move, but it can happen in either position, okay? So right here, I've got my hand here, I'm hooked here, and then what do? By the way, my hand will be pointing, my palm will be pointing to his right thigh, okay? If I put my hand this way, it changes things. It can still work, but if he straightens his arm out suddenly, he's got an arm bar on me, okay? And I want to be nice and relaxed, okay? Lift your arm up, okay? Lift it up. Okay. My weight's in such a position that he can't lift up his arm against me, okay? So I'm here, and then what I don't want to do, what you were doing, okay? Yeah, the guy behind you, that looked just like you, is lift up this shoulder, because guess what? Be strong here, strong in your arm. If my shoulders lift up, I'm not dropping my weight on his arm, am I? It's up in the air. See the difference? Scapula, shoulder up, scapula, shoulder down. I mean, it's a radical difference. And it's actually the difference between success and failure on this one. You try to do this one this way, and you're going to lose every time. Don't even waste your time, okay? So, as you connect, boom. And if you're lucky enough to get close to him, the man, so he can't fully extend, it's even better. You don't have to your arm can even stay lower. You don't need to lift it up this high. By the way, if you guys ever swim, and I'm not an aquatics expert, but if you do this kind of stuff, like some people do the swim in water, it's called drowning, okay? They actually teach the stroke. They do put their arm out there, but they teach pushing the water by the body. That's why, that's what we're doing. We are pushing his energy, his line of force around us. I don't care how strong he is then. It goes around me, as long as it doesn't hit me. Again, I'll emphasize this over and over again. It's against edged weapons. If it was an edged weapon, the line of force coming into my body, I don't care how tough I am. I lose. Does anybody think I don't lose this outcome? Okay. So I can't have that happen. I have got to deflect that force away from me in some fashion, okay? So what we're doing now is that because it's not an edge weapon, I can go ahead and let him touch me here, but I'm still deflecting the rest of his energy away from me. Okay, so as I do this, I'm dropping my shoulder. Now you guys are going to be tended, you're going to have a tendency towards this. Okay? You're playing, so you got to teach it to your kids. They're going to have a tendency to do this or this. It won't work. Resist me. Okay? I'm not dropping now on his humerus bone. Now I'm dropping on his humerus bone. Complete difference. So, let's try it. Boom. And then just, you're going to rotate your body. If you guys ever listen to John Lever talks, he likes having guys be this way when they do the pass rush. We're getting there, because that's our next move, is to rotate in that direction. Now, what makes this so sweet on the field, you see your tackle here, come out and jack me. Okay? Is that I'm real close. Okay? I'm real close, and it's going to be very difficult for him to reposition himself. In fact, impossible. Once I've controlled the humerus bone here, I'm so close that even if you take your arm and rip it back. Pushes me right into the quarterback. So I need to stay the connection, okay? So pair up in threes. That's really not a pair, that's a triplet, okay? Get with 3 people that you don't like and go slow. Anybody doing it fast or roughly, I'll ask him to leave. This is not about injury here. I just want you to feel it. The person having it done to them, be wimpy for this few times to save your shoulder and let them practice it properly, okay? Please? Please don't be shy. You can just go up to someone. Okay. Hand the other way. And his elbow.
Feels slippery.
No, they drop.
I like that. Sweet. Might as well take a step right now. Just put yourself in a more advantageous inside leg relative.
Right there.
If you're going to his left side, it'll be your left leg for right now. Hey, closer. Good. Right there. Okay, no. Yeah, it's still too much work. Gotta go through. Okay. I want you to feel it.
No such thing.
Feel it.
Slingshot.
We're not.
I think okay.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Pressure right here, yeah.
We're not done with this one, but I want to review a couple things with you real quick, please. I am, in fact, going to the outside of the elbow, okay? I'm not attacking the joint here. By the way, you can armbar. It's a different technique, and it's one that if someone down the road, if someone starts resisting you with a real stiff arm, you just armbar, okay? But we're not doing that. That's why I'm asking the person that's having it done to them, go ahead and be cooperative, all right? Even if you're the competitive sort, which most of you probably are, allow the guy just to feel it. But what the person wants to do, watch how my body's moving. Watch where his elbow goes. is forward triangulation. You know that that happens when he has to take a step. And I'm going to be cutting right off his ass. Going to that quarterback with that ball carrier. This stuff works just as well, by the way, for beating run blocks. You've got this scenario, run block me. We've got this as a run blocking scenario, excuse me. It works just as well. And it works even faster if, go ahead. Okay. That's a more advanced version. Okay, that I'm not even letting him hit me. Yeah. But the movement's the same as this basic. We're sticking with the basic. I just want you to know what's down the road for you guys should you really like this stuff, okay? So what I'd like you to focus on again is just, again, be touchy-feely for the moment and just feel your body move and have your movements translated into him. Now, here's another thing that happens as you do this. All this movement in my body and no movement in his body. Everything I do, again, as a martial artist, I have to make sure everything I do has an effect on him. If it doesn't, I lose. Okay? So, if I hook him up this way, and I rotate my body, it's a big rotation, but it didn't, my rotation, my torque, didn't go into his structure. My torque goes into his structure. Very little effort's needed to get him to move. On this one, if I just turn here and don't move and don't have that pressure into his elbow, then I might as well be doing something else, okay? Any questions before we try it again?
I got a question. What if the offensive lineman comes off the ball low and he's tight on you? You don't have a lot of movement in there, you understand?
Okay, go ahead.
So he comes off the ball low and
Okay.
he's real tight.
Okay, that's fine. Good.
It's just a fact.
It's just a faster version. If he stays low, it's easier for, I don't have to go as high, right, to get over his arm. But what do I have to do, go slow, is I have to control the humerus bone. If I don't, if I come out here, he's got me. Can you see how he's got me? His line of force is coming into my body. For those guys, people who showed up late, can I borrow you please, sir? No, this is just a basic, again, a basic scenario. Put your hands on me, push me over, please. Pretty simple, right? That's good. Now push me over. Okay. Put your hands back on me, push me over. All I'm doing is, well, he changed it. That's okay. Push over. He grabbed me to change his angle, and he almost did, but not quite. Okay. And if he watch what happens. Now drop your humerus bone down. Now push. No problem. This is not magic. It's nothing I can do that you can't do. It's physics, biomechanics. All I've done is I've repositioned his forces so they're no longer going into my body. Can you feel they're going over me and around me? So when we're doing this technique here, I'm moving him around my body. But I want my forces, thank you, the ones that I'm generating, I want them into him. I want his stuff missing me, I want my stuff hitting him. You guys like that scenario? You can see how in a fight that it might be worthwhile to have his blows missing you and your blows hitting him. Okay, different partners, try it again please. Same move, samurai swim move.
I like the thing.
Where was I first? Up here. Am I too high? I get that one. Did I get your fingers? Oh, drop that one. I'm doing this. All right. You feel different?
I was thinking about this.
You want Glenn to do it to you?
Same jam.
Right.
Stop.
instructors correcting the people as it goes around. No. That's the thing. Just think about.
Going fast.
You don't want to get into that, but listen, I want to see a difference. So you went pretty wide on the floor. Yeah, because on that second one, you went pretty wide. I didn't have too much on my shoulder. But the closer you get, it's like the more I would get pain on my shoulder. You got him over the elbow.
Put your hand in my pocket.
Good, good, good.
I went out here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was the difference. Just what I was about to say. Relax. You know, everybody, it's fine. Just for triangulation, you see he had to move. What happened to my shoes?
Back here,
Right there.
Thank you.
Little jig.
What am I scheduled till?
You have an hour and 20 minutes.
All right. Eyes here, please.
Wait. Sir, I'm sorry.
Okay, come in. Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry. You only have 50 minutes left.
15.
50.
Okay.
50.
All right. Good question here. Question was, pay attention, please. Thank you. Question was, do you have to go between arms? The answer is yes, you can, but no, you don't have to. Works just as easily. Okay. But you, particularly when you've got another guy out, you cannot do this. See the gap? Now, any of you guys that happened to see Dave Aranda earlier today, he talked about keeping contact. Anybody see him? He talked about the T, okay? The T is very similar to what I teach. There's a difference, though. The difference would be is that this part of the T doesn't stay static. We're using back pressure. Can I borrow you, please? Yeah, we're a good-looking guy. Okay, so as you go, the T then stays static here, but if I'm doing this in motion, I won't stay static. Okay, I'm moving both arms. This, by the way, is based on a fan. And the samurai would have a long sword, wakizashi, a short sword, a long sword, and then a wakizashi, a short sword, or a tanto, and then oftentimes they'd have a fan, be an iron fan, oftentimes. And this is a fan dance. All these moves look exactly the same with a fan, with an empty hand, with a knife. They're all the same. So they're all flowing. The next technique we're going to do will be the rip move. Not that you've mastered this one, but I'm just going to give you stuff to take home with and work with. And feel free to come by my desk. I've got a spot there next to Bill's table, okay? If you want to ask me more questions. The rip move. I do not like the way the rip move is typically taught. Here's the reason why. All you guys have probably worn crutches or know someone who worn crutches. Where do you put your crutch? Right there, in the armpit. Why? Because it's the best place to support your weight. Where wouldn't you put your crutch? You wouldn't put it at the elbow. Why? Because it off balances you. So why then do we want to take a 300-pound man and strike up where have to lift him where he's strongest? Yeah, I might get around him, but he's a big guy. That's a big load. So much simpler to come out. See how much I just moved? All I did, this is what I did. I lifted my arm up. Pretty big deal, right? He has to move. Why? Because I've taken now more biomechanics. When your arms are like this, if you watch a skeleton, you'll see the humerus bone comes down and has two nodules. They're called epicondyles. You have the lateral one on the outside, the medial one on the inside. If I take the medial epicondyle and I spin it, just like taking a cylinder and spinning it, something's got to move. Okay? That's how it is. Borrow you, please. Stay right there. It's right there. I just take it and I move it here. He's got to move. Please, sir. Now he stiffens up, so I take it another way. But relax the arm, please. Yeah. If someone does stiffen, you can't take it up with one finger, but that's okay because we're not using one finger. All right. We're using this. Now, another thing that happens, and this is very different, is that typically your orientation as you're striking up in a regular rip is this direction, right? Typical or close enough? Anyhow, we're talking about a shift of, say, 30 to 45 degrees, 45 to 90 degrees. So I'm tacking now not his armpit, I'm attacking his elbow. I'm not attacking it at this, resist. It won't work. I'm attacking it at a different angle. Now, if I come up like this, sit down, squat. Okay? Now squat. See? Cannot do it. Again, biomechanics, I'm taking his medial epicondyle here. Now, for you guys that missed that when we talked triangulation, because you missed a very important point, we're always going to this part. We're either taking his elbow to this part, so he has to take a step, and or his sternum. What you did on the swim move, you took the elbow, and then the sternum followed. Sternum and the pelvis had to follow. On my version of the rip move, we're now taking just the sternum. But how do we attack the sternum? We attack it by taking this thing and rolling it. Okay? So.
Our backside guard it's got flat
I borrowed you, sir. Thank you. Got a little larger lower center of gravity. Good stick, please. Okay. Okay. And by the way, it was a very good point. That's why I want you guys to go slow, but it's also why I want it's very hard. You really teach your linemen to do this, and their O-linemen, not only they've beaten them mentally, they're beating them every play, but their shoulders are going to feel like crap at the end of the game. I mean, that's why I can't even do things with my right side anymore. Now, for you guys that really think ahead, this is how beautiful this stuff can be. One of the reasons, at least as best of my knowledge, not being a football guy, that you don't see from an outside position now, you don't see many rip moves going to the inside is because it's too easy to ride. If a guy can ride me north-south this way, at least if I'm on the outside, I'm not getting thrown into any other players. But if I attempt it now, if the ball's there and I go this way, and he rides me north-south, he's taking me into the pile. Is that correct? However, if I can do either of these moves we've done so far, and I can cut off him real quick, I can just as easily cut off this side real fast. Again, I'm staying close, so he can no longer ride me into the pile. So you're actually teaching two moves, because this is not just an outside move. It now becomes an outside or an inside move. It now becomes not just for your defensive ends, but for any other pass rushing guys. Okay, one more time. Okay, and what did you notice about his? Watch it slow-mo. Let's put you right here on the line, like you're right here, please, facing the other direction. Watch his sternum. See, right now we've got his sternum and his midline on this line. Watch where I go with it. What you guys see? Pretty close, right? It's not going to be exact, but again, his body starts shifting.